We eat every single day, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about the incredible journey that food takes inside you? Well, in this explainer, we're going to follow the entire path, from that very first bite all the way to the end. And trust me, it's a way more complex and fascinating factory than you might imagine.
So what really happens after you swallow? It's not just a simple drop down into your stomach. Not at all. It's this complex, multi-stage process, almost like a super sophisticated assembly line running inside your body. So let's break down exactly how it all works.
At its core, this is the whole mission. Digestion is just your body's amazing way of taking something big, like an apple or a sandwich, and shrinking it down into these tiny, usable molecules. And those are the fuel your body needs for pretty much everything. For energy, for growth, for repair.
Okay, so our journey begins right at the gateway, your mouth. A lot of people think digestion really starts in the stomach. But nope, the real work begins the moment you take that first bite. This is where both the physical crushing and the chemical breakdown kick off at the exact same time.
Now, these 3 steps look simple, but they are way more important than they seem. Chewing, that's the mechanical part, just crushing food down. Then, saliva swoops in. And it's not just water, it is packed with these little chemical workers that start dismantling your food on a molecular level. Finally, your tongue pushes it back and sends it on its way.
So what's in your saliva? Well, it's loaded with something called enzymes. You can think of them as tiny little chemical specialists. For instance, there's one called amylase, and it immediately gets to work targeting starches, from your bread or potatoes, and it starts breaking them apart before the food has even left your mouth.
Once you swallow, the food doesn't just fall into your stomach. It's actually pushed down this muscular tube called the esophagus. It's a pretty quick trip, takes just a few seconds, and it acts like a delivery chute to the next big stop on our journey.
And here we are at the stomach. Now, this is not just some holding bag. It is a powerful, muscular, acid-filled tank that is designed for some serious deconstruction. The environment in here is pretty intense, and for a very good reason.
On average, this is how long your food will hang out in the stomach. 4 hours. 4 hours of being churned, mixed, and broken down by some seriously powerful acids and enzymes. It's a crucial waiting period where a ton of important work gets done.
So what's happening during those 4 hours? Well, the stomach's walls are releasing these really strong acids to dissolve the food even more. But at the same time, it's also playing superhero. That acid kills off most of the harmful bacteria that might have been on your food, which is a huge part of what keeps you from getting sick.
Inside the stomach, we need another specialized worker, called pepsin. Now, its job is to break down proteins. So if you've eaten something like meat, or eggs, or beans, pepsin is the enzyme that specifically targets those complex protein chains and starts unraveling them into smaller pieces.
After the stomach, our journey continues to the small intestine. And listen, if the stomach was the demolition zone, then this is the nutrient powerhouse. This is the place where the real magic of absorption finally happens. Now, the small intestine doesn't work alone. It gets critical help from 2 of its neighbors. The liver sends over a substance called bile, which is there specifically to tackle fats. Meanwhile, the pancreas provides a whole cocktail of different enzymes that can digest all kinds of different foods. It's a real team effort in there.
Let's focus on bile for a second, because it's pretty clever. You know how fat and water don't mix? Well, that makes fat really hard to digest. Bile acts kind of like dish soap. It breaks up large blobs of fat into much smaller droplets so the enzymes can actually get in there and attack them. Without bile, digesting that burger and fries would be, well, nearly impossible. So once the food is broken down into its tiniest little components, we're talking sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, the walls of the small intestine absorb them all. And from there, they get passed into the bloodstream to be delivered as fuel to every single cell in your body. This is the ultimate goal of digestion. But what about all the stuff that couldn't be absorbed? The leftovers. Well, that's where the final stage of our journey comes in, the large intestine. And its job is very, very different from its smaller counterpart.
And here's the key difference. The small intestine, its main job is to absorb nutrients. The large intestine, on the other hand, is all about conservation. Its primary job is to reclaim all the remaining water from the indigestible food, recycling it back into your body.
So as all that leftover material moves through the large intestine, water is drawn out, which turns it from a liquidy slurry into a more solid form. This is the body's final step in processing before all that waste material is finally removed. Okay, the journey might be over, but the digestive system still has a few surprises up its sleeve. Let's look at a couple of wild facts that show just how connected this system is to the rest of your body.
All right, here's a fascinating one about the connection between your mind and your gut. Did you have any idea that your stomach lining can actually change color based on how you're feeling?
Isn't that amazing? It's true. The same rush of blood that makes your cheeks turn red when you're embarrassed or excited, that exact same thing happens inside your stomach. It's a perfect real-world example of that powerful mind-body connection.
Okay, here's another one for you. We tend to think of the immune system as being all about white blood cells and fighting off colds, right? But a huge part of your body's defense network is located right where we've been on our tour.
It's absolutely true. Your large intestine isn't just for processing waste. It's a key part of your immune defense. It actively produces things called antibodies. These are proteins that help your body identify and neutralize threats, which means a healthy gut is absolutely central to a healthy body.
And really, this just sums it all up, doesn't it? Understanding this incredible journey isn't just about curiosity. It gives us the power to make better choices about what we put into our bodies, because now we know exactly what it has to go through.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Your digestive system is a powerful, incredible factory. Every single meal you eat is the raw material you're feeding it. So now that you know how it works, the question is, are you fueling it wisely?